I suppose at some level Greece strikes people as a laughingstock. There were aspects to this election, though, that aren't so funny. The thing that jumped out at me is that 60% of the voters there voted for what could be described as fringe parties.
Yeah.
There's something troubling at the center of that.
There is, and I think it's a loss of faith in confidence in the mainstream parties of the center right and the center left. They've had them both now, and they both have been complicit in a lot of the messes that were created. The center right party in lying essentially about the amount of Greek debt before the crisis hit. The French left, center left, in building up the welfare state and being resistant to any real reforms in the entitlement state, in work, in pensions, in how many in government employees and retirement rules, that sort of thing. And now the voters are saying, well, wait a minute, both right and left, center left, you're trying to impose this pain on us. And they were almost, it was a cri de coeur, to say, look, we're tired of that. Let's try something else. And also, it's a blame Germans. It's a very convenient thing. And this gets to a larger problem of European governance right now. Can Germany, which is going to be asked to write big checks, somehow is being asked to write big checks, either through the European Central Bank or through the German Fisc. Mm-hmm. Are they going to be able to get what they want on these electorates in Greece and France? I'm not sure. That's the real long-term trouble, potentially, I think, for the euro. If these governments just say, look, these political, the public says no. We're not going to do it.
And if the public loses faith. And the thing that I find troubling in Greece, Paul, is that a lot of these votes went to extreme left-wing parties, and on the right there's a neo-Nazi party there that gained votes. And if voters start opening the door to the extremist parties in Greece and things don't get better in the rest of Europe, you could see the reemergence of this kind of extreme politics in Europe that we haven't seen for a long time.
The Europeans, I always like to tease them, and they say, a lot of them say, oh boy, they're always, when you talk to them, they're always worried about the Tea Party here or the emergence of the fascist right. Well, the only place that fascism has really emerged is Europe in the last 100 years. And that is, Europe has had a history of extremism. It hasn't been recently. And I think you don't want to make too much of this because obviously, I don't think that the Greeks are neo-Nazis. I don't think the Greeks are communists. There are some, but this is really a frustration, a public frustration with mainstream politics. But it can be exploited, that frustration, if the political parties in Greece don't really get their act together. And it may be that Greece just has to leave the euro. Because
you think that could happen? I
think it could happen. On their present trajectory, the Greeks are not going to be able to make it.
Right.
But, if they reform, if they change, they can probably stick. But if this vote is repeated in the June election and they can't get their act together, the Germans are going to, and the French and the rest of the EU are going to say, sorry, we're not going to keep writing checks. And that could lead to a messy departure for them from the euro. And if that happens, we're going to have a rough patch.
Yeah. Well, all right. It looks like the elections in France and Greece have not gotten us out of the woods. They've just put us in another dark corner of the woods.
Well, we'll see. I think it's not, particularly the French election isn't as bad as people are saying.